Hello everybody and welcome back. This is the first time you're going to see me start attempting a new technique. I'd like to get more into jewellery making and I'd like to get more into using wire. And so here I am combining the two. I'm making some pendants and I'm putting some wire into them. I do have a confession to make. This is not exactly my first time. I batch recorded 3 projects one weekend and I lost the footage for all of them, and this was one of them. So I do hope you forgive me that this is actually my second time, but it's within days of recording the first time, and so hopefully you'll forgive and treat it as essentially my first time. I haven't, my skills haven't improved much. I've learned one lesson, which I can explain to you when I get to that point. But I'm still new to it, and still new to getting used to how much memory my phone has. I've actually ended up buying another phone. I had one phone just for recording and editing, and then my normal phone, I've ended up buying another phone just for recording and editing. So now I've got 2 phones just for recording and editing so that I don't run out of memory again. Okay, so the inspiration comes for this from a channel called Resin Design. I will link the channel. It's not wire wrapping, which I'd like to also do, but this lady puts wire into pieces to create patterns. So as you can see, I've started to cut some pieces of wire to size, and I'm positioning them roughly where I think I'll want them to go. I don't have the correct tools, so I don't have a hammer. I'm attempting to flatten the wire and end up using this rolling pin method, so to speak, and I don't do a bad job, to be fair. When I attempted this the first time round, I used a cabochon mould, and I wasn't very successful because, not having the tools or the experience, I didn't get the wire bent to make it lie flush against the cabochon mould shape, so the resin leaked underneath it. So then I found this flat backed mould and I had more success with that. And I will show you the previous project at the end as well as this one. I also do another mould which has got a slight curve to it. So I did that the first time around as well, and I'll do that again on this video as well. So I'm repeating 2 of the projects. I'm not repeating the actual cabochon mould one. At this point, I'd like to say thank you to all my subscribers. You're all appreciated very much. I'd also like to thank my friends at the Friendship Express collaboration. This collaboration was started by 4 people and it's grown quite a bit now. We're quite young channels in that group, really. There are a couple with a couple of thousand or a few thousand, but we're mainly young channels, and it was set up deliberately to help out new channels. So if you're a new creator or you want to create but just don't have the confidence, get in touch and we will happily add you to our Discord and you can join the playlist. The playlist is in my description box, so please check out all of the creations there. We like to support each other as much as possible. But look out for Amy at Resonating Art by Amy M, Sally at All Aboard Resin Creations, Susie at Serendipity Resin Creations, and Tina from Pour Resin with Love. They are the 4 organisers who can add you to the playlist and to the Discord. Okay, I have cut out the part where I put the wire into the second heart. There we go. And now we are going to secure the wires in place. Now on the Dewdrops channel, I'm going to say Beth. I'm sure she's called Beth, and that's easier to say than Dewdrops. Beth dunks the wire in UV and then cures it against the mould. And then she does a dot at the joints to secure them to each other. I've skipped the step where I dunk the actual wire into resin, because I did that on my first recording and I ended up with a line of clear resin all around the wires and it was visible. So for this go around, that's the lesson I've learned that I referred to earlier. I am not dunking them, I am just securing them at the joins. The problem with that is, if my wire is not 100% flat, resin will leak underneath. And I'm about to show you that piece. And I freeze framed it in case you want to look at it for a bit longer, so you know what I mean. Okay, and because I've only just done tiny little drops, I just give it a few seconds with the pen UV light. And I'm just doing another couple of dots. I'm not sure, I can't remember whether I couldn't see any resin because maybe I'd done such a tiny dot, or whether I'm thinking that there are little tiny gaps at the ends of the wires, which is where I've cut it. That can create a little kink at the end of the wire, so I might have been a bit concerned about tiny gaps. I'm not quite sure now. Now we need to start putting our colours down. In a moment I will be showing you my first attempt again, and you will see that there is colour on the front, a thin layer, then I freeze framed it for you there. You can see that there's different resin behind it. And why did I choose to do it with black and glitter? I've no idea. I don't do that this time around. Okay, so I'm going to use mica powders and UV resin. I don't know if I've mentioned UV already. I hope it was obvious that this was going to be UV. Anyway, I've got these new pearlescent powders from Temu, and I'm just showing you the various colours there. There's a blue, pink and purple, but then the others are white, but they don't have labels because they're from Temu to tell you what colour they're going to turn into. Anyway, I'm just using pink and blue. Beth always uses chameleon flakes, which obviously are absolutely gorgeous, but I'm scared of knocking my wires out of place if I do that, so that's why I chose to just do powders for this time. If I can get more confident with securing the wires in place fully along the whole length of them, so that I'm not worried about knocking them out of place, then I'll start using chameleon flakes then. But I've never used chameleon flakes before either. Again, that's a new product to me. I literally bought them a couple of weeks ago and haven't even opened them yet. So my first time using chameleon flakes will probably be in jewellery. I just need to wait until a time when I'm satisfied that that my wires will be secure. And also I don't want to waste chameleon flakes if a project's going to go wrong. So as you can see, I'm just working with pink first. I'm going to fill in all of the pink sections to prevent leakage under the wire in case there is going to be leakage. I start by angling it so that the gravity will push the resin towards the mould edge first, and then I can push it back out towards the wire rather than it run into the wire and run under and over it. Okay, I love myself a therapeutic time lapse with music, so cue the music. Alright, I've skipped ahead to after the curing. I think I gave them 5 minutes under the dual lamp. And now I'm going to back them. The way that I did the pattern was one has more blue and one has more pink. So the one that has more blue is going to get a blue backing, and the one that has more pink is going to get a pink backing. Now, okay, jumped ahead to them being filled. They're not quite domed. They are pretty flush to the mould, so they may get a dome coat later. I'm not showing you those yet. We're going to wait until after I've finished this project. As you can see, these, I'm going to use the cat side. These are a little bit curved, but I'm not putting pattern into the cat's face area, shall we say. So I don't have to worry about a long piece of wire getting the curve right. I'm just going to make little separating sections between the ear and the facial area. And as you can see there, I'm just using my thumbnail to help me curve it. I want to try and cut it to the correct size, which you need to get the curve right or roughly right to be able to do that, don't you? Otherwise, if it's too straight, you'll cut the wire too short. But I'm not too concerned about them being, the ends of the wire being 100% flush to the top of the mould, because I can always cut the excess off if needed. And I apologise that I went off frame, but it's such fiddly work, I wasn't watching the camera. I lost my temper with this so many times, trying to get it to lie in position. It kept falling over. My tweezers aren't gripping close enough. I've got the cleanest pair of tweezers I could possibly find, and I still couldn't grip them really good. Anyway, I'll let you watch me struggle for a little while. And now that I'm fairly satisfied with the size and shape of that piece of wire, I'm going to attempt to secure it in place. Can't remember how I did it at the time, but watching the video back, I put a tiny dot on the end of the wire, then couldn't grip it comfortably and probably wiped the resin off, and so now I've put it into place and I'm putting resin on with the wire in place. And I don't know if you could see, but it keeps nudging it. When I go to one end, it nudges the other end out of position. So I struggle on, but I managed to get it in a place that I'm roughly happy with. Right, so I've sped you up again so that you can watch me struggle again, but on higher speed. I didn't want to cut the struggling out of the video. I wanted you to see it all. So this is pretty much a raw video, apart from where I'm just repeating stuff too much. So when I come to do the ears on the smaller cats, I don't do that on camera. But I did want you to see the struggle for at least one piece. Same with the puzzle piece pendants. I wanted you to see me struggling with positioning the wires on one piece, but didn't want to bore you with doing it for both pieces. Almost finished now. It's about to go under the lamp. Okay, we've jumped ahead to where I have done the pattern in all 3 cat pieces. And this time I'm going to colour them with glow in the dark powders. Again, I will show you the first pieces that I made, which were either just black or black with glitter. I can't quite remember, but for this video I wanted to do a completely different colour. When you see me starting to fill the mould, you're going to see that I tilt the mould in a way that the resin won't run over the wire, or hopefully won't. So I'm tilting it, putting a thin layer on, cleaning up where required, curing, building up a couple of layers on those ears, but at some point I'll have to put the mould flat, otherwise the resin will run off the corner of the ear. But if I put the mould flat, it will run over the wire. So I can only do a couple of layers before I have to then just do the cat face and back the ears with the mould flat. You'll see what I mean when I get to that point. So yeah, I do a couple of layers in the hope that any backing colour won't affect the glow in the dark effect of the ears and won't affect the colour of the ears. And I think we'll do another short music time lapse. And now to back them, I'm going to use neons. So I used glow in the dark for the ears, and I'm going to use neons for the main colour. And I think the reason is just because I didn't have a glow in the dark white and I wanted white, so I chose the neon rather than just a plain mica powder. Alright, I've sped it up for you, but I'm not putting music on again because there's only about 30 seconds. And so, as you can see, I have fully covered the face areas with the white, but because there is a bit of a dip where the ears aren't fully filled at the point where they touch the head, I'm letting the white go up onto the ears, but I'm not too concerned about them fully covering the ears. Okay, while the cats are curing, I've got the heart pendant, jigsaw pendants back out, and I'm just giving them a little bit of a top coat on the backs. I overfilled one of the cats, so I also do another coat on the big cat and the right hand side little cat to try and even them up to the same puffiness as the small left cat. This set is intended to be a necklace and earring set, so we've still got to see me attempt to turn these into jewellery because these don't have the holes pre-made. So please stay tuned for that, because no spoilers, you just need to see that as well. Alright, here we go with the demould. Now, I didn't want you to see these until they were finished, so I didn't want to demould them. You see the finished pattern and then I top coat them and you're not interested, so I decided to demould them and top coat them before showing them to you. So these are the fully finished heart pendants, and they've got a ready-made hole obviously for making them into necklaces. So I think the wire work on those hearts was very successful, and also with the cats. That looks really good. The next cat that I show you, if you look to the right as you're looking at your screen, a little bit of pink leaked down, but other than that, I did a pretty good job, I think. However, on handling them, I've realised they're not fully cured. I can feel that they're a bit squashy, so I put them back under the light to try and cure up a bit more. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, and I'll come back to that in a moment. Meanwhile, I'm just examining my hearts a little bit more. There's a bit of overpaw that needs trimming up, and then the knife leaves scuff marks. So I use a tiny drop of UV resin to shine that area back up again. Okay, I'm going to get ahead of myself here, otherwise I'll run out of time to say what I want to say. In a moment, you're going to see me with the cat attachments, or cat pieces again. The small cats were too small to put holes through, so I used stud attachments to make them into stud earrings instead of dangly earrings. For the large cat, I do put a hole in the middle of its head. Unfortunately, that is still not cured enough, so I patched that back up. First of all, it's not cured enough and it leaks resin, but second of all, I realised that to put a necklace cord through front to back means that the piece won't lie the correct way against your body. I try by putting a hole in the ear to, I know that the cord will still go the same way and it might not lie properly against your body, but to salvage the piece, I wanted to make some jewellery out of it, and I figured through the ear is the only option, but I couldn't make the hole big enough. The attachments on the cord, the metal pieces at the end, are too big, and I couldn't afford to make the hole any bigger without it totally ruining the ear. So I gave up at this point. I need more experience in making jewellery, don't I? But overall, I'm still quite happy. The purpose of the video, the wire work, worked out well. I'm happy with that. So here are the glamour shots for both this video and the video that I couldn't show you. Look at that bottom black cat. One wire wasn't sealed and all the black resin ran underneath the wire. So let me know what you think of my first 1 or 2 attempts at wire work. Have a good week, and I hope to see you again next week. Bye bye.